How to find the default file manager. As a Linux user, I see that some applications can request a path to be opened and this causes a file manager to be launched. I'd like to do this programmatically, but how can I know which is the default file manager? Is there a way to find this info? Any environment variable. By file manager, I mean applications that allow you to administer your files, create, rename, create folders, etc., like Nautilus, in GNOME, or Dolphin, in Kday. Thanks in advance.
There is no such thing as a default file manager for Linux. It all depends how you might be trying to open one. If you ask XDG, then you'll have to check what XDG thinks this file manager should be. Same deal for any other environment, such as GNOME, or Kday. If you have all of them installed, it's perfectly possible, and fine, for each of them to have a different default file manager. The case for default apps seems to come mainly from Windows. Over there, we only have one environment, the one Windows presents us with. As such, the notion of a default application is indeed effectively system-wide. This is not the case with Linux. What you might perceive as default apps under Linux, such as what is stored in the $editor environment variable, is not as much a true default app, as simply a convention used by a lot of people who write system tools and scripts. Feel free to define $file manager, if that suits your use case.
Use the xdg mine command to this. xdg should be desktop environment agnostic, e.g. xdg open will pass the arguments onto the correct file opener. To get the default file manager, use source.
You can use xdg open and lt, dir and gt to launch the file manager on a directory. You might be able to query some xdg application to find out what file manager is used.
Seems everybody mentioned the inode/directory mime type, and the xdg open should works in most of the cases for your need. Programmatically open a directory via a file manager, but sometimes wrong application, which is not a file manager, for example Visual Studio Code, can also associate it with the inode/directory as the default application. In addition, there is also a file manager interface for dbus, org.freedesktop.filemanager1, in session bus, which can be used for your requirement, so you can also use this if your file manager support this dbus interface. Please make sure if you can use it, since not all file manager implemented this. Currently it seems Dolphin, Kday, Nautilus, GNOME, and Dpin file manager, D, implemented this dbus interface. And to find out which process owner this dbus interface, you don't need to do it if you just would like to request a path to be opened via a file manager programmatically. See this answer.